Welcome back to Caliber and Control. Today, we're talking weapon lights. Are they necessary? Are they not? What do others think about them? And then we'll go a little bit into the Streamlight TLR-7X. So let's talk about if a weapons light is necessary. If you have been looking into getting a weapons light, I'm sure you're watching videos on YouTube, and half the people you watch are telling you, no, it's not necessary. You shouldn't need a weapons light. It makes your gun heavier, which is kind of true. It adds a little bit of weight to it, I think a couple ounces. And additionally, they say that instead of having a weapons light, you should have a handheld light. A lot of times what people say about having a handheld light is that it allows you to mislead the person that is coming after you. Instead of having a weapons light where you give up your position, you could have the handheld light here or down here, essentially indicating that you may be one of those places. I've also heard that when you turn on the light in close quarters, you can actually blind yourself depending on how bright that light is, especially if you have white walls, white ceilings. It can reflect really well and in turn blind yourself. However, I have a background in photography. I know how to use indirect light so that I don't blind myself. Um, Instead of aiming the light directly at the wall, you can aim it directly to the floor or have it aimed at the ceiling. This way, you're not flagging anyone down that you shouldn't be, and also you're not blinding yourself from the reflection off the walls directly coming right back at you. Every time I think about why it's important to have a light, I go back to my CPL class where my instructor basically compared having a firearm, essentially the same thing as having a fire extinguisher. It's good to have. You hope you never need it, but if you do need it, it's there if you're in that situation. So I think it's absolutely important to have weapons light. If you want to carry an extra light in your hand to mislead anyone or misguide anyone, by all means, do what you got to do. Another reason why I think it's important to have a weapon mounted light is because your everyday firearm owner isn't used to shooting with one hand accurately most of the time. So having a weapon mounted light allows you to have both of your hands free to be able to stabilize your gun and shoot at the target that you're aiming at. At the very least, you can blind them. Like I said earlier, this light is 500 lumens. I can blind the person that I'm aiming at who is trying to either break into my house or trying to track me on the streets. Um, so I don't necessarily have to shoot them. For the most part, I can intimidate them or blind them with this bright ass light. The TLR-7X has a 500 lumen output, which makes it extremely bright, enough to blind someone to the point where they cannot see you and they don't even want to look in your direction anymore because of how bright this light is. This light also has a 5,000 candela peak intensity. If you don't know what candela means, it just means the concentration of your light. So this is going to work really well in close to mid ranges. So indoor use or home defense scenarios, this is going to work really well. It's not going to have that very concentrated light for long range like a rifle light, but for a handgun, this is exactly the kind of out intensity that you would want. Streamlight says that the beam distance of the TLR-7X is about 140 meters. We're going to go outside and test it out later on. One reason why I chose the 7X model versus the 7A model is because this comes with a rechargeable battery. It does mean that the battery doesn't last as long as the 7A model. I believe the 7A is rated to about an hour and a half runtime nonstop. This one is about an hour. I can't see myself having to use this light for even an hour, so I think that will suffice for me. I also just don't like having to buy a lot of batteries. I can just plug this into a USB-C cord and I'm good to go. This light is about 2.5 inches long and about 2.5 ounces, so it doesn't add a ton of weight to your handgun. This Streamlight is meant more for compact size handguns. So this is the Glock 45. So it will fit on a Glock 19. It will fit on a Glock 17. I know Glock 17 is more of a full size, but this is a Glock 17 frame, and it does fit very, very well on here. If you have a Glock 43, I would recommend looking at a bit of a smaller light to actually fit on that gun. This light also has an IPX7 rating and it's waterproof up to 1 meter. We're going to go ahead and test that out. I won't be putting it in 1 meter of water, but I'm just going to drop it in a cup and let it sit there for a few seconds and then put it back on and see if it works just as well. This runs about $150 on Amazon, which is where I got it. I thought that was a pretty affordable price for the quality of this weapons light. We won't be going over mounting today, but I'll make another video just to show you guys exactly how to mount this thing from start to finish. However, let's go over a couple of functions of this light. So it does have ambidextrous buttons, one on both sides. So one basic function, press one of the buttons once, press it again, it will turn off. You can also hold it down, it will stay on. The second you let go, it turns off. And then there is a strobe feature on here as well. You do have to enable that strobe feature. To do that, you have to press one of these buttons on either side, tap it 9 times, and then on the 10th time, hold it down for a few seconds, and it will enable strobe. And then from there on, you can press that button twice. You can see it enables. Press it once, it turns off. If you don't like strobe and you want to disable it, do the exact same thing again. So tap it 9 times. On the 10th time, hold it down, and it will disable strobe. So now that we've gotten through some of the functions, let's take this thing outside and see how bright this thing is compared to my iPhone light. And also let's drop it in some water, put it back on here, and see how it holds up. See you guys out there. All right, let's test out this iPhone light versus the Stream TLR-7X. Again, the iPhone light is about 50 lumens or so, and the Stream is about 500. So I'm gonna light up the back of my garage here, and we can compare the two. Starting with the iPhone light. You can see it's a very widespread. It's not too bad, but it's very dim. And now let's test out the Streamlight. You can see it's lighting up that garage very clearly. The focus is much tighter than the iPhone light. Now let's take a step back to about 50 to 60 feet and see how this looks. All right, so we're back about 50 to 60 feet now from my garage door. Again, this light is meant for mid to close range, so perfect for home defense. Let's light up my garage again and compare the two iPhone and Stream lights one more time. There's my iPhone light, very dim. And now let's test out the Stream light. You can see even at about 50 to 60 feet, it's still very well lit. The group is now obviously, or the focus is now a little bit wider obviously, but it still is fairly tight compared to the iPhone light. It's not going to be like a rifle light, which is going to be even tighter together, because rifle lights typically have a much higher candela. But as you can see here, this is going to be the perfect home defense light here. Now for the final test, we're going to put this in some water. It is rated for 1 meter. Obviously I don't have that much here, but we're going to leave it in there for a few seconds, pull it out, turn it back on, and see if it still works. Completely submerged in there. Let's leave it for about 10 seconds or so, and let's take a look. Oh, you can see there's some bubbles coming out. All right, let's pull it out. And you can see it is working very well. Hold it, strobe, working very well. So as you can see, this light is in fact completely waterproof. All right, so hopefully you found this video pretty helpful. Again, we went over the TLR-7X, waterproof, rechargeable, 500 lumens, absolute powerhouse for close quarters, household defense. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and drop a like so I know that I'm actually helping those out there understand which light is going to be best for them. If you have any questions for me, or you want to see anything else about this light or anything I've showcased in previous videos, drop it in the comments. And as always, if you want to see more of my videos and everything I'm learning, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.